The massive orbital station New Sol floated silently in the void between three dying stars. Its crystalline dome reflected the distant light as thousands of beings from across the galaxy moved through. Each its corridors, inside the grand courtroom, Judge Kangwu adjusted his black robes and looked down at the defendants standing before him. Dr. Lena stood with her chin raised, defiant even as the alien prosecutor's tentacles waved accusingly in her direction. The Vexstar delegate, Ambassador Xylith, had filed 17 separate charges against her. Each one carried a penalty that could destroy her career forever. Dr. Lena. Judge Kangwu's voice echoed through the chamber. You stand accused of violating Protocol 7 of the Galactic Terraforming Agreement. How do you plead? The courtroom buzzed with whispers from dozens of species. Crystalline beings from Andromeda clinked softly against each other. The bird-like Kithri ruffled their feathers nervously. Even the massive rock creatures from the outer rim leaned forward to hear better. Lena's hands trembled slightly, but her voice remained steady. Not guilty. Your Honor. Ambassador Xylith's three eyes glowed brighter. His species had been helping terraform human colonies for 20 years. They were supposed to be humanity's greatest allies in the expansion across the galaxy. Yet here was this human woman, daring to question their methods. The evidence is clear. Xylith spoke through his translator device. Dr. Lena violated our sacred terraforming protocols on Kepler-4 to be. She introduced unauthorized plant species without proper clearance. She disrupted our atmospheric processes. She even stole samples of our terraforming compounds. Judge Kangwu studied the holographic evidence floating above his desk. The images showed Lena's research team on the surface of Kepler-4 to be a world that should have been a paradise for human colonists. Instead, the red soil looked poisoned. Strange purple fungi grew everywhere, and the air readings showed dangerous chemical levels. Double quotes Dr. Lena. Can you explain these images? The judge asked. Lena stepped forward, her dark eyes flashing with determination. Your Honor, I can explain everything. But first, I need you to look at something the prosecution didn't show you. She activated her own holoprojector. Suddenly, the courtroom filled with images of human children on various colony worlds. But these weren't happy scenes of families building new lives among the stars. These children were sick. Their skin was pale, their eyes dull. Many could barely stand. This is Colony World 7, Lena said, her voice growing stronger. Population of 50,000 humans. After 5 years of Vexstar terraforming assistance, 60% of their children cannot reproduce. This is Colony World 12. After 7 years, their crops won't grow without constant chemical supplements that only the Vexstar can provide. The courtroom erupted in shocked murmurs. Several alien delegates began arguing in their native languages. The crystalline beings chimed in alarm while the Kethri screeched in confusion. Judge Kangwu slammed his gavel, a device that sent sonic waves through the station's hull. Order, Dr. Lena. These are serious accusations. Do you have proof? I do. Your Honor. But I obtained this proof by doing exactly what the Vexstar are accusing me of. I had to violate their protocols because their protocols are designed to hide the truth. Ambassador Xylith's tentacles writhed angrily. This human spreads lies. Our terraforming process has helped dozens of species across the galaxy. We have made dead worlds bloom with life. Yes, you have. Lena agreed. But at what cost? Your terraforming compounds don't just change the soil and atmosphere. They change the genetic structure of any species that lives on those worlds long term. And for humans, those changes are always the same. Reduced fertility, increased dependence on your chemical supplements, shortened lifespans. She turned to address the entire courtroom. The Vexstar aren't terraforming worlds to help us. there, terraforming us. The silence that followed was deafening. Even the massive rock creatures stopped their slow, rumbling communication. Judge Kang Wu felt his blood run cold as he studied the evidence more carefully. Dr. Li Na, he said slowly, "Are you suggesting that the Vexstar Empire is intentionally poisoning human colonies?" "I'm not suggesting it, Your Honor. I'm proving it. The samples I took on Kepler to be show exactly how they do it. Their atmospheric processes release compounds that are harmless to most species but devastating to human DNA over time. It's genocide, disguised as friendship." Ambassador Xylith rose to his full height, his 3 eyes blazing with fury. "These accusations are an insult to our empire. We demand this human be silenced immediately." But Judge Kang Wu was no longer listening to the Vexstar delegate. He was studying the genetic analysis Lenore had provided. The data was undeniable. The compounds found in human colony worlds contained synthetic elements that specifically targeted human reproductive systems. Lenore watched the judge's face carefully. She had risked everything to expose this conspiracy. Her career, her freedom, even her life. But the truth had to come out before more human children paid the price for galactic politics. The courtroom fell silent as Dr. Lena reached into her briefcase and pulled out a small device that glowed with soft blue light. Judge Kang Wu had never seen anything like it before. The device projected a holographic seal that made several alien delegates gasp in recognition. "Your Honor," Lena said, her voice carrying new authority, "I am Dr. Lena, Chief Environmental Prosecutor for Earth's Galactic Defense Council. I hold dual doctorates in xenobiology and interstellar law from the Mars Science Institute. I have been investigating the Vexstar terraforming program for 3 years under direct orders from the Human Colonial Authority." Ambassador Xylith's tentacles began writhing violently. "Impossible. Our intelligence reports showed she was just a research scientist." Lena smiled grimly. "Your intelligence was fed false information. We suspected there were Vexstar infiltrators in the galactic court system. Today proves we were right." She activated another device, and the air above the courtroom filled with complex molecular structures. The holographic display showed chemical compounds so detailed that even the advanced Kethri scientists leaned forward in amazement. "These are the real results from my investigation on Kepler to be," Lena continued. "The Vexstar have been using a compound called Zirian-7 in their terraforming process. To most alien species, it's completely harmless. But to human DNA, it's a slow-acting poison that targets our reproductive chromosomes." Judge Kang Wu studied the molecular structures floating before him. His own knowledge of chemistry was limited, but he could see the data was incredibly detailed. "Dr. Lena, how long have you been gathering this evidence?" 3 years, Your Honor. "I've visited 47 human colony worlds that received Vexstar terraforming assistance. The pattern is always the same. First-generation colonists show minor health issues. Second generation has reduced fertility rates. Third-generation children are born with genetic defects that make them dependent on Vexstar. Medical treatments." The courtroom erupted in chaos. The crystalline beings from Andromeda began chiming in alarm, their bodies flashing with angry red light. Several smaller alien species started chattering in their native languages, while the massive rock creatures rumbled with what sounded like fury. Ambassador Xylith raised his voice above the noise. "These accusations are fabricated. The Vexstar Empire has helped hundreds of species expand across the galaxy. We are known for our generous assistance." "Generous?" Lena's eyes flashed with anger. "Let me show you just how generous you've been." She activated a new holographic display that showed a star map of the galaxy. Dozens of worlds were marked with red dots, representing human colonies, as the display zoomed in. Each world showed disturbing statistics. Colony World Alpha 7. Population decline of 30% over 10 years. Colony World Beta 12. 70% of children born with respiratory problems requiring Vexstar medical supplies. Colony World Gamma 3. Complete crop failure unless Vexstar soil enhancers are used continuously. Judge Kang Wu felt his stomach turn as he realized the scope of what he was seeing. Dr. Lina, are you saying the Vexstar have been systematically poisoning human colonies across the galaxy? Not just poisoning, Your Honor, enslaving. Look at the economic data. The holographic display shifted to show trade agreements between human colonies and the Vexstar Empire. The numbers were staggering. Every affected colony world was now completely dependent on Vexstar supplies for basic survival. They're not just sterilizing us, Lena said, her voice growing harder. They're making us dependent on them for everything. Food, medicine, even the air we breathe on some worlds. It's the perfect long-term conquest strategy. Suddenly, the courtroom's main doors burst open. 6 security robots rolled into the chamber, their red sensors scanning the crowd. Behind them walked Court Administrator Vex High, another Vexstar official who managed the station's legal proceedings. Judge Kang Wu, Vex High announced, I'm here to inform you that Dr. Lena's credentials have been revoked by the Galactic Court Authority. She is no longer authorized to practice law in this jurisdiction. Lena laughed bitterly, and there's the proof of infiltration. Your Honor, Administrator Vex High just happened to arrive at the exact moment I was exposing his people's crimes. Judge Kang Wu looked between the 2 Vexstar officials. Something was definitely wrong. In his 20 years on the bench, he had never seen court credentials revoked during an active trial. Administrator Vex High, the judge said carefully. By whose authority were Dr. Lena's credentials revoked? By order of the Supreme Galactic Justice Council. Vex High replied, but his 3 eyes avoided direct contact with the judge. Lena pulled out another device. This one gleaming silver and marked with Earth's official seal. Your Honor, I have direct communication access to the Supreme Council. Shall we call them right now? The color drained from both Vexstar officials' faces. Ambassador Xylith's tentacles stopped writhing, and Administrator Vex High took a step backward. I thought so, Lena said triumphantly. Your Honor, I submit that this entire case was orchestrated to silence me before I could expose the Vexstar genocide program. The timing is too convenient. The false credential revocation, the presence of security robots. They're trying to stop the truth from getting out. Judge Kang Wu's mind raced as he connected the pieces. The case had been assigned to him at the last minute. The evidence had been presented in a way that made Lena look like a rogue scientist. Even the court scheduling had been unusual. Dr. Lena, he said slowly, if what you're saying is true, then this court has been compromised. Not just this court, Your Honor, the entire galactic legal system has Vexstar infiltrators. They've been planning this for decades. The orbital station's emergency lights bathed the courtroom in red as alarms began blaring. Throughout New Seoul, Judge Kang Wu watched in shock as the Vexstar security robots suddenly turned their weapons toward the human spectators in the gallery. Administrator Vex High's 3 eyes glowed with malicious intent as he spoke into his communication device. Lockdown protocol activated, Vex High announced. No one leaves this station until Dr. Lena's research data is destroyed. But Lena was already moving. She grabbed Judge Kang Wu's arm and pulled him behind his bench as energy blasts scorched the air where they had been standing. Your Honor, we need to get to the station's medical bay. There's something about human biology the Vexstar don't know. What are you talking about? Kang Wu shouted over the chaos as panicked aliens fled in all directions. The crystalline beings shattered into smaller pieces to escape through ventilation shafts. While the bird-like Kethri took flight toward the upper levels, I've been studying the toxin samples for months. Lena explained, activating a personal shield generator. I noticed something strange. Humans who work in recycling plants on Earth seem immune to Zirion-7 poisoning. At first, I thought it was just luck. They crawled through the emergency exit as Ambassador Xylith screamed orders to his robot forces. The station's corridors were filling with smoke from damaged systems, and the artificial gravity flickered, on and off. But it wasn't luck. Leonor continued as they reached a maintenance tunnel. It was biology. Humans who process large amounts of organic waste develop higher levels of a specific enzyme in their liver cells. That enzyme breaks down Zirion-7 completely. Judge Kang Wu pulled himself through the narrow tunnel, his robes catching on the metal edges. Are you saying humans can naturally fight off the Vexstar poison? Not all humans, but the enzyme can be synthesized. If we can get to the medical bay, I can prove it. Behind them, they could hear the heavy footsteps of Vexstar soldiers searching the corridors. The aliens had dropped all pretense of being peaceful allies. Their true nature was finally revealed. They emerged from the tunnel into the station's medical sector. The bay was filled with advanced equipment from dozens of worlds, including a state-of-the-art human medical unit that Earth had installed just 2 years earlier. Lena rushed to the bioscanner and pricked her finger, letting a drop of blood fall onto the analysis plate. Your Honor, please do the same. I need to check your enzyme levels. My enzyme levels. Why would that matter? Because you've been exposed to low levels of Zirion-7 through the station's air recycling system. The Vexstar have been slowly poisoning everyone here for months. But if you're still healthy, it means your body is fighting it off. Judge Kang Wu hesitated for only a moment before adding his blood to the scanner. The results appeared instantly on the holographic display, and Lena's eyes widened with excitement. Incredible. Your enzyme levels are 3 times higher than normal. Judge, your family background. Did anyone work in waste management or environmental cleanup? My grandfather was a recycling plant supervisor on Earth for 30 years, Kang Wu replied, confused. But what does that have to do with anything? Everything. Lena began typing rapidly on the medical computer. The enzyme is partially genetic. Families who worked in Earth's industrial cleanup developed it over generations. That's why the Vexstar targeted agricultural colonies first. Farmers don't have the same enzyme levels, suddenly. The medical bay's doors exploded inward. Ambassador Xylith stormed in with 6 heavily armed soldiers, their weapons glowing with deadly energy. Step away from the medical equipment. Humans, Xylith hissed. Your little discovery ends here. But Lenore was still working frantically at the computer. Judge, keep them talking. I'm almost finished with the synthesis. Kang Wu stepped forward, his judicial training taking over despite the fear in his chest. Ambassador Xylith, you're making a mistake. This information will get out eventually. You can't silence everyone, can't we? Xylith laughed. It sounds like grinding metal. We've been planning this for 50 years. Every human colony world is now dependent on our supplies. Even if some survive the purge, they'll starve without our assistance. But you didn't count on human adaptability. Lenore called out from the medical station. The synthesis chamber began glowing with bright blue light as enzymes multiplied in the artificial environment. What is she doing? Xylith demanded, raising his weapon. She's creating hope. Judge Kang Wu replied, something your species clearly doesn't understand. The synthesis chamber chimed, and Lenore pulled out a vial of clear liquid. This is it. Concentrated human liver enzyme. 1 dose can neutralize years of Zirion-7 poisoning. Xylith's eyes went wide with horror. Impossible. Our scientists tested human biology for decades. Your scientists tested healthy humans. Lena shot back. They never studied humans who had already adapted to fighting. Toxins. Earth's industrial pollution accidentally made us immune to your genocide weapon. Without warning, she injected herself with the enzyme solution. Her skin immediately began glowing with healthy color, and her eyes became brighter and more alert. The irony is perfect, she said, smiling at the terrified Vexstar. You tried to poison us slowly, but our own polluted world had already given us the cure. Judge Kangwu watched in amazement as Lena's body visibly strengthened. The enzyme wasn't just neutralizing poison, it was enhancing her natural human resilience. Judge, she said, offering him a second vial, ready to save humanity. The massive Supreme Galactic Court orbited the neutral world of Nexus Prime, its golden spires stretching into space like the fingers of an ancient god. Hundreds of spacecraft from across the galaxy surrounded the station, some carrying witnesses, others bringing evidence, and many filled with reporters eager to cover the trial of the millennium. Dr. Lena stood at the prosecutor's podium, her enhanced human physiology making her appear more confident and alert than ever before. The enzyme treatment had not only cured the Vexstar poisoning, but had awakened dormant genetic traits that made her mind sharper and her reflexes faster. She wore the formal robes of Earth's galactic prosecutor, a position that many alien species were only now learning existed. Honorable Justices of the Supreme Court, Lena began, addressing the 7-member panel that represented the galaxy's most powerful civilizations. I present to you the most comprehensive case of systematic genocide. In galactic history, the courtroom was enormous, designed to accommodate thousands of beings from hundreds of worlds. The crystalline Andromedans chimed softly in their section, while the towering rock creatures from the outer rim created a low harmonic rumble, flying species perched on specially designed platforms that floated throughout the chamber. Chief Justice Murden, ancient being whose species had witnessed the birth of 3 civilizations, leaned forward with interest. Prosecutor Lenore, you claim the Vexstar Empire has committed crimes against not just humanity, but multiple species. Present your evidence. Lenore activated the courtroom's holographic system, and suddenly the air filled with star maps showing affected worlds across 3 galactic sectors. Your Honor, the Vexstar terraforming program has operated for over 2 centuries during this time. They have systematically poisoned 17 different species on over 300 worlds. The evidence was staggering. World after world appeared in the display, each showing the same pattern: initial terraforming assistance, followed by gradual population decline, increased dependency on Vexstar supplies, and eventual economic slavery. The Zolani bird people of Sector 7, Lena continued, pointing to a cluster of red worlds. After Vexstar terraforming, their flight capabilities were reduced by 60%, making them dependent on Vexstar anti-gravity technology. The Korith crystal beings of the Andromeda cluster, their natural resonance frequencies were altered, forcing them to purchase Vexstar harmonic stabilizers to survive. Gasps echoed throughout the courtroom as species after species recognized their own worlds in the display. Many had blamed their problems on natural evolution or environmental changes, never suspecting deliberate sabotage. Judge Kang was sat in the witness section, still amazed by everything that had happened. After escaping from New Seoul Station, he and Lena had spent 3 weeks gathering evidence from across the galaxy. The enzyme treatment had enhanced his own mental abilities, allowing him to process legal documents faster than he had ever imagined possible. I call Judge Kangwoo to testify, Lena announced. Kangwoo approached the witness platform, which adjusted its size and shape to accommodate his human physiology. The advanced technology still impressed him, even after weeks of traveling on various alien spacecraft. Judge Kangwu, Lino began. Please tell the court about your experiences on New Seoul Station. Your Honor, Kangwu addressed Chief Justice Murden. I presided over what I believed was a simple environmental violation case. I had no idea that the entire proceeding was orchestrated by Vexstar infiltrators to silence Doctor Lino before she could expose their crimes. He described the events in detail. The suspicious timing of the case assignment, the false credential revocation, the sudden appearance of security robots, and the revelation of the Vexstar's true nature. But the most disturbing part, Kangwu continued, was discovering how deeply the Vexstar had infiltrated our legal systems. They didn't just poison our bodies, they poisoned our institutions. Chief Justice Murden's expression grew grave. Judge Kangwu, are you saying the Vexstar have compromised multiple court systems across the galaxy? Yes. Your Honor, Dr. Lee, Na, and I investigated 17 different legal jurisdictions during our evidence gathering. In every case, we found Vexstar officials in key administrative positions, subtly influencing case assignments and legal decisions. The courtroom erupted in angry voices as representatives from various species realized their own legal systems might be compromised. The bird-like Kethri screeched in outrage while the crystalline beings flashed with indignant. Light Dotley now raised her hand for silence. Your Honor, I wish to present the final piece of evidence, testimony from Ambassador Xylith himself. A section of the courtroom's wall became transparent, revealing the Vexstar ambassador in a detention cell. His 3 eyes were dull with defeat, and his tentacles hung limply at his sides. Ambassador Xylith, Chief Justice Murden's voice boomed. Through the communication system, you have been granted immunity in exchange for a truthful testimony. Do you acknowledge the charges against your empire? Xylith's voice was barely a whisper. The charges are accurate. The Vexstar Empire has been systematically weakening other species for over 2 centuries. Our goal was gradual conquest through dependency, not direct warfare. And how many species were targeted? Lina asked. 47 species across 3 galactic sectors. The plan was to control the galaxy within 500 years. The silence that followed was deafening. Even the massive rock creatures stopped their harmonic communications. The scope of the Vexstar conspiracy was beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. Chief Justice Murden looked directly at Lenore. Prosecutor, what remedy does humanity seek for these crimes? Lenore stood straighter, her enhanced human confidence radiating throughout the chamber. Your Honor, humanity seeks justice, not just for ourselves, but for all affected species. We propose the complete dismantling of the Vexstar Empire, redistribution of their resources to victim worlds, and the establishment of a new galactic monitoring system to prevent such atrocities in the future. And who would oversee this monitoring system? Another justice asked. Lina smiled. Humanity volunteers to serve as the galaxy's environmental and legal guardians. Our biological adaptability and legal expertise make us uniquely qualified for this responsibility. 6 months later, the galaxy looked completely different. Massive human ships patrolled the space lanes, their sleek designs incorporating the best technology from dozens of worlds. The Earth Defense Fleet had grown from a small planetary force into the galaxy's most respected peacekeeping organization, with Captain Park Jin leading the flagship New Horizon on its patrol through former Vexstar territory. Dr. Lino stood in her new chambers aboard the Supreme Galactic Court Station, wearing the golden robes of a Supreme Justice. Through the massive viewing window, she could see construction ships dismantling the last Vexstar military installations. Each destroyed weapon platform represented another step toward galactic freedom. Justice Lee now, her assistant, a young human named Kimso, entered with the day's case files. The Zalani delegation has arrived for the environmental restoration hearing. Lino nodded. still amazed by how much had changed. The enzyme treatment had not only saved humanity, but had awakened genetic potential that scientists were still studying. Humans were living longer, thinking faster, and adapting to alien environments with unprecedented ease. "Send them in," she said, reviewing the holographic files. The Zolani were bird-like creatures whose flight abilities had been crippled by Vexstar terraforming. Today's hearing would approve the restoration process that would return their natural abilities. Meanwhile, on the distant world of Kepler-4-4-B, Judge Kang Wu supervised the largest environmental cleanup operation in galactic history. His new title, Director General of the Human Environmental Protection Agency, came with responsibilities he had never imagined. Teams of human specialists worked alongside alien volunteers to reverse centuries of Vexstar damage. Director Kang, Dr. Choi Min, approached with the latest soil analysis results. The enzyme treatments are working even better than expected. The Zirion-7 contamination levels have dropped by 90% in just 3 months, Kang Wu smiled as he watched human children playing alongside young Zolani in the restored grasslands. The sight would have been impossible just a year ago, when this world was a poisoned wasteland. "Any word from the outer colonies?" he asked. "Captain Park's fleet just liberated the mining stations in Sector 12. They found over 10,000 enslaved beings from various species. All are receiving enzyme treatments and medical care." Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out on hundreds of worlds. Human medical ships distributed the synthesized enzyme to every species affected by Vexstar poisoning. The remarkable discovery that human liver enzymes could neutralize the toxins had made humanity the galaxy's saviors overnight on the crystal world of Andromeda 7. Ambassador Yuhana worked with the crystalline beings to establish new trade agreements. The Andromedans, grateful for their freedom from Vexstar dependency, had shared their advanced crystal technology with humans. Now, human ships incorporated living crystal computing systems that made them faster and more intelligent than any previous spacecraft. "Ambassador Yu," the Andromedan leader crystal resonated through the translation device. "Our people wish to establish a permanent alliance with humanity. Your species has proven that strength comes not from conquest, but from justice." The transformation hadn't been without challenges. Some alien species initially resented humanity's sudden rise to galactic prominence. The proud Kethri bird warriors had required careful diplomacy before accepting human assistance. But when they saw their own young ones flying freely again, after enzyme treatment, even the most stubborn Kethri acknowledged humanity's role as liberators. Back on the Supreme Court station, Dr. Lenon presided over the final Vexstar War Crimes Tribunal. The few surviving Vexstar leaders sat in containment fields, their once proud bearing reduced to shame and defeat. "The court finds the defendants guilty of systematic genocide against 47 species," Linar announced. "However, in accordance with human principles of justice, we sentence them not to execution, but to rehabilitation. They will spend their remaining lives helping to restore the worlds they destroyed." The decision shocked many alien observers who expected harsher punishment. But humanity's approach to justice emphasized restoration over revenge, a philosophy that was quickly spreading throughout the galaxy. Chief Justice Murden, now Lena's colleague rather than superior, approved of the sentence. "Justice Lena, your species continues to surprise us. Even in victory, you choose mercy. That's what makes us human," Lena replied simply. The real test of humanity's new role came when long-range scouts discovered the Vexstar homeworld. Now defenseless and facing ecological collapse, many species demanded its destruction as fitting revenge. Instead, humanity sent its largest environmental fleet to begin restoration efforts. Judge Kangwu personally led the mission, bringing human expertise and alien volunteers to heal the Vexstar homeworld's poisoned ecosystem. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. The species that had tried to poison the galaxy was now being saved by those they had tried to destroy. "Why are you helping us?" asked Vexstar scientist Silma. "Watching human teams plant Earth vegetation in the toxic soil. Because that's what justice looks like," Kangwu replied. "Not revenge, but the chance to do better." As the years passed, humanity's reputation as galactic protectors grew stronger. The Human Environmental Protection Agency became the galaxy's most trusted organization. Young beings from dozens of species applied to join human universities, eager to learn the principles of environmental and biological adaptation. Dr. Linar, now Chief Justice of the Supreme Galactic Court, often looked back on that day in the courtroom where everything began. A simple environmental case had revealed the galaxy's greatest conspiracy and humanity's greatest strength. The galaxy was safer now, protected by human principles of justice, environmental stewardship, and the remarkable biological resilience that had turned humanity from victims into saviors. And in the vast reaches of space, human ships continued their patrols, ensuring that never again would any species face the slow poison of conquest disguised as friendship. The end.